Stay, my friends. Today's Kirtan session was brilliant. First of all, I'm going to start recording Kirtan sessions because Kirtan is awesome. So today I was just finding myself not really rooted and teleported deep into my Kirtan practice, into that awareness, into that heart field. And that's a lot to do with me being at peace and not really having a lot of turmoil to use as my fuel to go deep. And so with peace, there just isn't that fire to like push you in, there isn't that pain and that suffering that allows you to go so deep into kirtan. And I mean, I know like I still have some deep rooted deep down, but it's like for the most part, I don't have much spiritual pain. And so now Kirtan is now transforming into a reaching of potential rather than a healing of suffering, rather than fixing the dark places in my heart and my soul. It is about bringing more light into the light areas, bringing more power and more amazement into the light of my consciousness. Um, and so basically, when I was doing the singing and listening, I was just not able to penetrate deep. And so I started thinking to myself, what can I do to penetrate deep into this practice if this is all I'm going to get? If there isn't going to be any emotional outpouring, what do I do just sitting here? And I wouldn't say I was bored, but it was more like just normal. It was just a normal, like it didn't feel like I was doing a spiritual practice. It just felt like I was just being. And so I decided to reach back into what I've done previously in kirtan. And one fundamental thing that will get you deep into kirtan, no matter what, is to try and listen to the silence from which the sound comes, and listen to the silence from which your voice arises, right? So, just basically, this means when you are listening to the kirtan, you can begin by first picking one form of the sound. There's the harmonica, there's the drumming, there's the clapping, there's the actual kirtan lead singing. So there's like many different aspects and parts to the sound of kirtan. Excuse me. So you just pick one of those sounds. Let's say the voice. If you want to go really deeper, I either pick the drums or the harmonica or the clapping because they're more in the background and it requires more will and attention and focus in order to consistently focus on them. So basically, you pick one of these objects, and that object becomes the point of your meditation, the object of your meditation on the sound, right? And so you just try to focus on that specific sound the whole time that you're listening. And then when you transfer to yourself singing, you just focus on the creation of your sound. How do you create that sound yourself? And you just focus and intentionally sing your part. And then this will get you pretty deep the more that you're able to like pick one object of sound when you're listening and to just focus on your sound, on your voice as the object itself and just fully putting your whole attention on it. It will bring you pretty deep. And then to go even deeper with the sound, with the singer, if you use the singer as the object of focus of your meditation, then you can also try to understand that that singer is a person, and you try to see what emotions that they are projecting through their singing, what state they are in while they are singing that song. And so you just listen purely and just try to see what kind of state the person is in. And then when it comes to you singing, then you try to understand how the state that you are in, what that sounds like when you sing. So you make a connection between listening to yourself singing and seeing what state you are in. And then when you are listening to the kirtan, since you only have the voice, try to listen to the voice and see or imagine what state that the singer is in. And then this will take you even deeper into kirtan territory, and you will really begin to understand life at such a deep level, yourself at such a deep level. Um, and then to go even further, right? Okay, this is the silence part. This is the depth, right? So once you've seen how your state relates to the sound, to the quality of the sound that you produce, you can begin to see that kirtan and you are singings of the silence that underlies all of reality, right? This is getting into a little bit complicated territory, but essentially, imagine that the whole kirtan, the person singing, the drumming, the sounds, the harmonica, the whole kirtan, and you singing and listening, all of this is like, it's like the singing, right? And then the state that you are in to produce that sound is the silence that is underneath all things. And so you can literally look at this literally, right? You can, when you are listening to all the sounds, to the songs, try to hear the silence from which the sound, comes from, sprouts from. And then when you are singing, you know how when you are listening to kirtan, you are silent. Your voice isn't singing. And then when it's your turn to sing, then out of the silence of non-singing, you start singing and you start producing sound. And then again, you go back to listening and you stop producing sound. You go back to silence. Then you start and produce sound again. So you can literally focus on the silence that's underneath the sound when you are like, both when you're listening to the song and when you are singing, you listen to the silence underneath both of them. And essentially, the metaphor is that the ultimate state, the ultimate consciousness is the silence that is underneath, and we are just flourishing creations, outbursts of activity on top of this silence. Just like you are in a certain state and you produce a certain quality of sound, if you are sad, your voice will produce, like sad sounds. You'll sing sadly. If you're in a happy state, like your being is happy, that when you're singing, your singing will be of happiness. And when you're in like an irritated mood or a bored mood, whatever, like it will reflect in the emotions felt through your projections. And in a deeper sense, the state of the universe is shown by how we are produced, right? The production of our being shows the state which the universe is in this space. So that's just a little bit complicated, but listening to the silence within kirtan is really a way to go really deep into it if like the emotions and pain aren't there. All right, namaste.